Playing card history and facts.
Paper was invented around 2000 years ago in the year 105 CE by Kai Lun. However, the first paper-like writing sheet papyrus was found in tombs and temples in Egypt as far back as 2700 BC. It is believed the Chinese invented playing cards before 1000 AD. Some scholars believe as early as the 9th century. During the Tang dynasty, playing cards eventually reached Europe via the Silk Road around 1360. The 52-card deck originated in Persia, then made its way to Egypt. From there, it entered through Italy and spread throughout Europe during the second half of the 14th century. The import of playing cards caused such an uproar in England. King Edward V, in alliance with the Catholic Church, made it illegal to play cards on all days of the year except for the 12 days of Christmas, and even then it was only permitted to play cards in the home. The church even went as far as to dub playing cards as the devil's picture book. Back then, playing cards were hand-painted until the invention of the woodblock printing press in 1436, and around the year 1500 they began to use it to mass-produce playing cards. Now, with the more readily available abundance of playing cards in circulation leading to their popularity in Europe, there were different types of decks, with different types of suits. In Italy and Spain, there were cup swords, coins, and batons. In Germanic nations, there were hearts, acorns, bells, and leaves. And in France, there were hearts, spades, diamonds, and clubs. The most popular being the latter. The French system eventually became the standard system for most playing cards used around the world. The kings were thought to represent real historical kings of the past. For example, the King of Spades was said to represent the biblical King David. The King of Hearts was said to represent Charlemagne. Clubs were said to represent Alexander the Great, and diamonds were said to represent Julius Caesar. The four suits have been rumored to have multiple meanings. However, most commonly thought hearts is to represent love and family, diamonds represents money and wealth, spades represents military and death, and clubs represents luck and power. Around this time, the governments in Europe started putting tax stamps on the ace of spades, and in 1765 started producing the ace of spades themselves. This is why the ace of spades looks so different when compared to the other aces, to make it more difficult to counterfeit. And this is also why you can find the manufacturer's information on the ace of spades. Getting caught forging or in the possession of counterfeit ace of spades was an offense punishable by death. This is why the ace of spades is known as the death card, and where the phrase "not playing with a full deck" comes from. Also around this time, in the late 1700s, is when playing cards became directly responsible for the invention of the sandwich. In 1762, John Montagu, the Earl of Sandwich, was so obsessed with playing cards, he refused to eat his lunch, so he requested his meat be brought to him between two pieces of bread so as to not dirty his hands, allowing him to continue playing cards, and eventually people began to say, "I'll have the same as sandwich," which later became just "I'll have a sandwich." Now, around the 1800s, the court cards started being made reversible, with the heads at the top and the bottom. A short time later, in 1864, Samuel Hart printed the first decks with index indices, which in turn caused the knave to be turned into the jack, as to not confuse it with the king. Also, around this time, back designs became more common. Before this point, back designs were mostly blank, and the card corners became round, making it easier to shuffle them and more difficult to mark for card cheats. In 1885, the United States Playing Card Company held a contest within their company for who could come up with the best back design idea. It is unknown who, but someone suggested a bicycle-themed back design. which was a relatively new invention, with the modern two equal-sized wheel designs being invented that same year by John Kemp Starley. The back design we all know and love. The rider back was created in 1887 and was the eighth design from bicycle playing cards. That's where the 808 comes from. The first mass-produced market deck was made by Theodore Deland, titled the Dollar Deck, in 1913. During World War II, the United States Playing Card Company sent decks of playing cards to POW camps with secret hidden maps on the inside of the cards. Using a bit of moisture, the cards are split between the layers, where the concealed maps, when assembled, the maps could then be used to escape. Later, during the Vietnam War, the United States Playing Card Company sent entire crates full of decks that only contained the Ace of Spades, as the Ace of Spades had the reputation of the death card and was seen as a bad omen in certain cultures. Soldiers would leave these aces around and sometimes even place them on their helmets, and in a way they were used to instill fear into the Viet Cong. Bicycle playing cards have become the most popular deck used worldwide. And for good reason. The United States Playing Card Company makes the best quality playing cards in the world, hands down. The origins of playing cards are mysterious and somewhat magical. There are still things to this day we don't understand about their creation. For example, if you started shuffling a deck of cards since the beginning of the universe, 13.8 billion years ago, and shuffled every second, until today, this very moment in time, the deck of cards would not have seen the same order twice. The total possible shuffle combinations of a deck of 52 playing cards is 8 followed by 67 zeros. However, if you were to perfectly faro shuffle a brand new deck of 52 playing cards 8 times, the deck would then return to new deck order. And even stranger, a deck of cards is said to represent a calendar 2 colors, red and black, to represent night and day 4 suits, to represent the 4 seasons, 12 court cards, to represent the 12 months of the year, 13 values, to represent the 13 lunar cycles, 52 cards represent the 52 weeks of the year. The average value of all 52 playing cards is 7, representing the 7 days of the week. And finally, if you add all the values of all 52 playing cards, you get 364 plus 1 joker equals 365 days of the year, and if you add the second joker, you got 366 days for the leap year. And finally, I learned in Card College Volume 1, if you spell out all the values ace to king, it is exactly 52 letters, not only in English, but this works in 5 different languages. This can't be a coincidence. Playing cards just somehow seem magical. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to B. Don the Magician.
Magic lovers, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.